Good morning. My name's Bill Snowden. I'm your, I have to tell you my pronouns. My pronouns are he, him. I'm your song leader today. And today's service is about letting go of perfection in our spiritual lives. Our opening hymn is 10:10, We Give Thanks. And the words will be on the screen behind me. Please rise in body or spirit. We give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for the time we share with love and care. We give thanks for this precious day. We give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, the time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Now, please remain standing for the chalice lighting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm John LaBarbera. My pronouns are he, they, and I'm your worship associate today. Thank you. Join me as we recite our covenant and John Reed Maffeo lights our chalice. Here he comes. If you are watching remotely and have a chalice with you, please light it with us. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to share our strength in fellowship, thus do we covenant. Please be seated. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix. No matter where you come from, how you worship, or how you identify, you are welcome here. If only I remember where my place was. Okay, welcome home. Welcome to worship. Welcome as we explore the mysteries of being human together in community. We're so glad you're here, and we're also glad to have Emrys Staton here with us. For those who do not know, Emrys has spent the last 5 years working as a chaplain, both in a hospital and now with home hospice. Prior to that, he served as an intern and assistant minister right here at UUCP. Emrys now has a family of 2 boys who keep him and his wife on their toes. Emrys has a background in various flavors of activism, organizing, and community building. He found Buddhism 10 years ago through a community meditation group in Tucson and continues to enjoy Buddhist practice and teachings. Today's sermon, Practice Makes Imperfect, is a reflection on those years and the understanding that meditation is more about accepting who you are now rather than trying to be some improved version of yourself. We're very excited to have you back on the pulpit with us, Emrys. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix strives to be a spiritual community for our time, one that is theologically diverse, radically inclusive, and justice-centered. If you're new here, we are so glad that you found us, Each Sunday is different, so please come back a few times so you can really get to know us. If you are new here and are willing and able, would you please wave so we can know that you're here with us? Oh, wow, lots of new faces today. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much. Well, we do have a few announcements about our community. Phase 1 of construction is underway, and our building is, yes, big woo for Phase 1. Our building is undergoing massive changes, and here's what you need to know. The deadline for handing over keys to our new tenants is August 9th, so things will be changing rapidly. The biggest change is with our toddlers, and I'm sorry. Since rooms are deconstructing and moving, there will be no dedicated and safe space for our littlest friends during July. So let's be extra welcoming and radically inclusive as they join the adults and older children in the sanctuary during services. Yay! Room 9 is now both storage and ready for adult programming meetings during the construction phase. And speaking of that, all rooms beyond room 9 are under construction and closed off to our community. There's signage on all the doors, so please respect those boundaries for the safety of everyone. And because of these rapid changes, today's De-Stressing in Chaotic Times group will be meeting in room 9 instead of the usual room 11 at noon until 1:15. Feel free to drop in if, I don't know, something about the nation has been driving you nuts this week. And now let us draw deeper into the present moment and into our worship. I wish I knew how to do this, but I'm going to do these instead. Our opening words are from Gretchen Haley, a minister at the Foothills Unitarian Church in Fort Collins, Colorado. There is nothing you need to bring with you to be welcome here. No right beliefs or proof of citizenship. No eternal optimism or clarity of conviction. No boundless courage or endless expertise. You do not need to know what brought you here or how you will solve that problem you are turning over and over and over in your mind. Your bills do not need to be paid and your checkbook can be a mess. Your children may be up half the night. Your hearing aids may not be working and your knees may be creaking. You do not need to be already perfect or even halfway to belong in this circle where grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us as it found us. Where love resides in each of us, yet is somehow more than all. Where life still pulses and rages and heals and transforms, creating us and this day anew once again. Come, let us worship together. And I now invite anyone who'd like to come forward for Together Time. The best part about Together Time is you don't have to be a kid. Anybody can come forward and join us. Thank you. Thank you all for coming up here today. If anybody would like to join us throughout this, totally come on up. We are very, very welcoming, very happy to have you. We're going to be reading a story today for Together Time. It's borrowed from our friends at the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, and it'll be up on the screen behind the chancel for everyone to watch. So whenever you guys up there are ready, take it away.
A perfectly messed up story, written and illustrated by Patrick McDonnell. This is, whoops, sorry about that. Just 1 second. Okay. Let's try that again, shall we? This is Louis' story.
It's going to be upside down the whole time, so don't worry about that.
Once
Just
upon
try
a
to follow
time,
along.
little Louis went skipping merrily along. Tra-la-la-la-la, he sang. For in his heart, Louis knew everything was just, hey, hold on, what's that? A jelly stain? How did that get there? This isn't right. Who would eat a jelly sandwich while reading my book? Plop. Jelly and peanut butter. Ugh, the chunky kind. Hey, hey, hey! Somebody's fingerprints are all over this. Oh no, what next? Orange juice? Ugh. My story is getting all messed up. We need to show some respect here. Books are important. They teach us stuff, and they inspire us. Now, can I please get on with my story? Thank you. Okay, from the top. Once upon a time, little Louis went skipping merrily along. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. You have got to be kidding. This is awful! Quick, get a paper towel! Rub, rub, rub. Careful, careful. Ah! This is the worst thing ever! What am I going to do? Once upon a time, stop! Forget it. My story's ruined. It's all over. I'm just in a messy old book that will end up in some garage sale. A book no one will ever want, read, or love. I give up. Go on without me. This is Louis' story. Who cares? Once upon a time, little Louis went skipping merrily along. Tra-la-la-la-la, he sang. Oh, life was so much simpler back then. For in his heart, Louis knew everything was just what? Just what? Fine. Wow. Everything is fine. I'm still here, you're still reading, and it is a pretty good story, messes and all. So, come on, let's finish this. This is Louis' story. I love it, and nothing is going to stop me. The end.
Poor Louis. I do want to thank our friends at the UU Congregation of Ann Arbor. They have a wonderful YouTube page. You all should check it out sometime if you've got the time. A show of hands, has anybody ever felt like Louis? I'm sure, yes. Does anybody want to share a story about a time like that? No, yes.
So I'm a student, and so getting through the projects and stuff, you can feel like it's all ruined at a time, but you still have to keep going because, well, you're going to fail otherwise. So
Just keep going. I love that. You had one, right?
A spelling test that I had.
thanks, John.
I feel like getting kids to school any day of the week is similar to that story. You just got to keep on going, and it'll be fine, and you get there.
You get there eventually. I think a lot of us can relate to that sentiment. What do you do when things don't go exactly your way? Yes.
Just think about like cute things and just calm. Be calm.
Think about cute things and be calm. We can all use that, can't we? This is our last question for Together Time today. Hello, thank you for joining us. How do you help someone when something doesn't go their way? Yes.
I think like our friend here said, sometimes being calm ourselves that energy our friends can feed off and then, help bring them back to calm as well. And, encourage them and just let them know that, like with Louie, it's going to be fine. Everything's fine.
That wonderful transfer of human energy. It's a beautiful thing. Yes.
Listen to some peaceful music or meditation.
I really like that idea. Yes, I think so. Sam, what have you got for us?
I have to constantly remind myself in the moment to remember to breathe. Because getting oxygen to the brain and to the heart and to the body functions is always so much more helpful in any circumstance versus like just shutting down and closing everything off. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for joining us today. You can head on back over to your seats. Each week, we split our offering between this congregation and an organization that shares our values. Our Share the Plate partner for July is the Maryland School Music Program. The Maryland School is a Title I school that has a long connection with UUCP. 95% of the students fall below the poverty line. Many of our members volunteer there as tutors, garden cultivators, and in other important roles. The Maryland School's music program has been mostly defunct for several years, and it's in great need of repairs to instruments, new instruments, child-sized of course, accessories such as strings and bows and music stands, sheet music. You know, music is the universal language and the dominant way many people learn. I mean, how did you learn the ABCs? The Maryland School has been able to hire 2 outstanding new music teachers, and it would mean the world to them to start the school year knowing that they have the supplies they need to succeed. For all that you give, we are so grateful. Ushers, thank you so much for your willing hands in helping us pass the plate.
It's an important practice in this community to make time to share pieces of our lives with one another. Sharing them together, we can collectively amplify our joys and lessen our burdens. If you're on Zoom and would like to share a joy or sorrow, please type it into the chat, a brief note of what is on your heart today, and I'll read it out loud. If you're here in the sanctuary today, there are little green cards located on the back table that you can fill out before the service, and they'll be brought up for us to read out loud at this time. As we enter this sacred time to share in our community, let us open our hearts to the joys and sorrows that we will share together, and those still in our hearts that we keep silently with a deep breath together. I'd like to share a joy that isn't written here, but my dear friend Jeff Anderla, who's not here today, told me a couple weeks ago when he found out I would be here, he wanted to be here, and he said he would be very angry if he was here because that meant his trip to Ireland had fallen through. So it is with great joy that Jeff is not here and enjoying his trip. From Sam and Michelle, they share a joy. Sam writes, "My wonderful wife and I celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary on Saturday. Culminating a week around the pool with our family." Mike Paddock shares a joy that Mike and Eileen are celebrating meeting 20 years ago and their 19th wedding anniversary yesterday. Barbara Seltzer writes, "I am grateful I live in a democratic society, that I can speak my beliefs and not be imprisoned or disappear. I have heard and seen the alternative, and I am scared. I'm glad to be in this supportive community that believes in the dignity of all." Share that joy and concern. And Mira Shah writes, "I spent all of June wondering if that was me in the Share the Plate Stepping Stones photo, and thanks to John, I now know it was me, or is me. I loved teaching for Stepping Stones, and it is a joy to be in their photo." Let me see online. A joy from Peyton on video. "I have finally booked my flights for the first semester of college. My last service working with everyone until the winter will be August 11th, and I leave for Oregon on August 17th. I'm looking forward to the weeks ahead with you all and the college path afterward in July." And a sorrow, losing a faith and community I grew up with, from Caitlin, and a joy, finding a new place to discover and learn more and be myself. For all of our joys and sorrows, those named and spoken aloud, those that are silent in the sanctuaries of our own hearts, we send our love out to each other here and online in the world. And while we continue to hold space in our hearts for all these joys and sorrows, let's shift into a time of meditation together. For this morning's practice, I invite us to do a body scan. So we'll just settle into your seats, move or scooch a little bit to find a comfortable, relaxed, or dignified posture. And you can do this with your eyes open or closed, whatever feels right. Again, we'll take in a deep breath together, fill your lungs, let it out slowly. And direct your attention to your feet and your toes. If you can, scrunch your toes up a little bit and relax them. And let your attention come up to your legs and knees, maybe your creaky knees. Notice any sensations that you have there, and just let your legs relax. Let your attention move up past your waist and into your core of your body. And say thank you to all the organs working away for everything they do to keep you alive today. Let your attention wander down your arms and to your hands. If you can, make a tight fist. And then let it go. Relax your hands. Feel your head resting on your neck. You can move your head and neck a little bit. Tighten up your shoulders, scrunch them all the way up, and let them relax. And then bring attention to your face. Scrunch up your face, clench your jaw. Let that relax, let that go. Now let's all take in one more deep breath together. Let it out. And we'll sit for just a few more seconds here in some stillness. Namaste.
So please remain seated while we sing hymn number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. There are 3 parts, and we're going to sing each of the parts through once, and then we'll do several times when we sing all together. You're welcome to sing on any part you want at any time. Breathe in, breathe out, 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 breathe in, breathe out.
That was great. I would love to hear more harmonies here. Harmonies are lovely. In my younger days, I was obsessed with everything timing out perfectly. I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, I'd time my walk down a hallway at just the precise moment someone else was walking down too. A parent, a family member, what have you. Usually just to say hi, in passing. I'm on my way to my room or something. I'd physically wait at one end of the hallway, perhaps even around a corner, hold for the sound of footsteps, then casually make my turn around the corner, wave hello, and go about my day. Sounds kind of exhausting, doesn't it? Trust me, it was. This was without a doubt an effect of being a child of the 90s, raised by scripted media where chance encounters just happened to fall at the right times. But I think there was more to it than that. In these TV shows and movies, everything was explained. This is a technique called exposition, more for the audience's sake than for the characters. But for a child whose own life circumstances were often a mystery, fictional exposition was a very welcomed thing. I moved 7 times between the year I was born and the 7th grade. Crucial developmental years spent ping-ponging between schools, friends, locations, even family sometimes. Of course, I craved some semblance of a predictable outcome. And don't even get me started on these stories all wrapping up anywhere between 30 minutes and 2 hours and everybody getting a happy ending. Life is not a movie. Even documentaries take artistic license every now and then. I had to learn to accept situations as they come. I had to learn that not everything is going to come out perfectly well done. And when I let go of that outrageous expectation, life sort of opened up. So if you see me walking down the hallway, I assure you it's just a coincidence. Thank you.
Now, please rise and join me singing a Buddhist-inspired hymn, 1031. May I be filled with loving kindness. We start with extending loving kindness first to ourselves, then to another, and finally to all. The words will be on the screen behind me. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's good to be back after a little time away. I've been around, but back up here, it seems like nothing has changed, and yet everything has changed. And that's one of the neat things about institutions like religious communities. They can hold true through time, and they can change with the times or be the change of the times. And we've got a good blend of all of it here. It's good to be back. So long story short, since I was last up here several years ago, I now have a wonderful wife and 2 kids, one of whom I think many of you got to know has the same energy as Felix. He was up and down the ramps and through the aisles a couple weeks ago during Together Time. And they're home today recovering from a stomach bug, so hopefully they're watching. Hi. My wife recently joined a community choir, and they did a show of various Disney pieces, which got our kids really excited about some classic Disney movie songs and some of the more contemporary ones. They really loved the music from Encanto, which has been on repeat for a few months now. It's a great movie. It's set in Colombia about a family where each member has a magical gift or superpower, except the protagonist, Mirabel, who is just normal. Her sisters, one who is super strong and the other who turns everything into flowers, are both doing everything they can to keep the town running smoothly and beautifully under the watchful eye of the benevolent matriarch grandmother. Mirabel, in a quest to find the truth of the mysterious disappearance of the prophetic uncle that no one is supposed to talk about, connects with her sisters and helps them discover their own inner longings to not be perfect all the time. However, the house crashes down when the magic dies, and Mirabel then helps the grandmother see that her quest for maintaining the perfect family was unsustainable and actually kind of harmful. Then they rebuild, and it's happily ever after. Uncle rejoins the family, sisters get to relax and express their true selves, and grandmother realizes that even without a magical gift, Mirabel was the one who could see past the magic and into the humanity to pull them all together with love. Disney. We are surrounded by the concepts and the expectations of perfection. Our grocery stores are a great example. All the produce and the meat must look perfect. They're coated and dyed and painted and preserved, and as soon as the bananas are a certain shade of near-ripe yellow, they're thrown to the dumpster so the new ones can come in. As a former dumpster diver, my friends and I lived high on the hog from the waste from grocery stores with food that was totally fine, just so they could keep up museum-like quality appearances inside. Our HOAs keep our yards looking perfect. The feral natural beauty of the desert is bulldozed over and replaced with plants that are pre-approved and trimmed and sculpted. I'm waiting for the HOA to start mandating topiary saguaros and espaliered ocotillos on the wall. Social media, of course. Social media allows us to curate our lives to display only our best selves, an image of our best selves to the world. And even if we share the hard things, it's usually carefully crafted. The influencers raise expectations of living the dream, whatever that is, 24/7. The filters allow us to take perfectly enhanced photos, and we can alter our own images to clean up our skin and modify our body shape, even slightly, to be just a little more perfect. We look to Pinterest on how to have a picture-perfect wedding, perfect vacation, a perfect plate of pasta. Who's that foodie guy that recently invented the perfect pasta shape? What's that guy's name? I follow him on Instagram too. Yeah. There's apps with questionnaires that promise to match us with a perfect partner or perfect job or find your perfect home. And now, with the development of artificial intelligence, which is just really a mirror of our own collective society and yearnings, when it's prompted to make images, it shows us perfectly looking young people, skinny, able-bodied, nice teeth, nice hair, nice clothes, usually white, and maybe just an awkward shadow or smudge that gives it away. But it's only a matter of time before the fakes will be undetectable. This call for perfection is both external and it's internal inside ourselves. In our spiritual, our social, mental, psychological world, we're deluged with calls for betterment and perfection. I was in a bookstore the other day, one of the few left, and glancing at the titles in the spiritual section, just be your best self, raise your vibration level, be more grounded and calm and compassionate, and you'll be happier and mindful. I didn't even go to the self-help section. I didn't want to know. Buddhism, as a philosophy and a worldview, seems to have this calling built in with a promise of nirvana, of enlightenment if you try hard enough. But let's look at that a little more carefully. One of the key features of Buddhism is practice. Usually practice refers to meditation of some form. So doing your practice is being committed to doing meditation. I like the concept of practice. It's a word used in many contexts where we always try to get better at something. Sports practice comes to mind. Even in medicine and law, that word is used. I think it's humbling to say, this is my medical practice, or I'm practicing law. Of course, if you need a surgeon for something, maybe you don't want her to be practicing. But I think of it as a commitment to lifelong learning of a skill, always developing your competency. In sports, athletes practice through their entire careers. For our Diamondback sports fan, does May 18th, 2024 ring a bell for anyone? When Randy Johnson, at the age of 40, pitched a perfect game against the Braves. So maybe, like the saying goes, practice does make perfect. And sure, in that context, we can celebrate the accomplishment of something like pitching a perfect game. We can relish in the achievement and the witness of it and cheer on the next pitcher who might pull it off. But in my life, like in Louie's life, like all of our lives, I've got 2 kids. We're coming out of COVID. I've got termites in the kitchen. I've got stomach viruses, a very old air conditioner and water heater, and not enough sleep and bills. Not enough sleep, enough bills. Global and political chaos and violence and guns and climate change and friends struggling with their lives too. You know, all the things. I don't think perfect is what I'm aiming for. Yes, I was an A student in high school and through most of college and grad school, but as they say, and I learned to try to embrace this, C's still get degrees. It takes work to tone down our expectations, given the social pressures that surround us. Do you all remember the sensation of Marie Kondo, the queen of decluttering your home in order to have a happier life? She believed that a tidy living environment led to more inner peace. Guess what? Marie now has kids. In an interview after her second child was born, she said, "Just after my first daughter was born, I felt unable to forgive myself for not being able to manage my life as I had before. But with time, I eased up on myself. Then, after I gave birth to my second daughter, I let go of my need for perfection altogether." She now has 3 kids. So when I came into Buddhism, I was eager to really get into this practice, the practice of it. My Sangha, my community, met weekly in a yoga studio, and we did our meditation, and we did our chants. We listened to our teacher give talks. And some of us, overachievers, committed to a daily practice and prostrations, meditation, journaling. I was going through a breakup at the time, so I really clung to this new practice as the way to, achieve all those things that the bookstore was promising. Heal myself, be more grounded, have more insight into my own issues, be a better person, and not make any more mistakes. I wanted to fix my broken and flawed self. Never mind that Buddhism teaches that there is no self. But then I had this thought that came to my mind during a meditation at a weekend mini retreat. Maybe I was too broken for meditation. All the images of meditating, you see people sitting calm on a cushion, they seem like they already had their lives together. I got tears in my eyes. I started crying to myself during meditation, a definite no-no for magazine cover images of retreats. But I realized I just had to accept myself for who I was right now, today. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be the better future me, not the current messy me. I would go on with this insight into my own desire and perception and start loosening up on myself and just come to meditation practice however I felt that day or that hour. I've had angry meditations. I've had sad meditations. I've had very distracted meditations and a few calm ones. But if I'm honest, those are rare. Sharon Salzberg, a meditation teacher I follow, she talks about perfectionism as a hindrance. I love that word, a hindrance, holds you back. She says, this is why clinging to our ideas of perfection isolates us from life and is a barrier for real love for ourselves. Perfection is a brittle state that generates a lot of anxiety because achieving and maintaining unwavering standards, whether they're internal or external, means that we're always feeling like we're under threat. We become focused on only avoiding failure, and love for the self cannot be a refuge because it has become too conditional, too dependent on performance. As Oscar Wilde said in his play, An Ideal Husband, it is not the perfect but the imperfect who have need of love, and that means every last one of us. So I got to thinking about how mindfulness practices are so often marketed as this path to individual betterment. Practice makes perfect. Now we can tease that out, and most teachers will be quick to say that self-acceptance is the goal of practice, and if you achieve that, then you will indeed feel better about yourself. But I feel like the language, the book titles, the retreat headlines, they're misleading. I think you've got to just come to it and directly say it out loud. Practice makes imperfect. I really enjoyed Reverend Sky's sermon several weeks back about the covenant here, and they wrote on top of the old UUC covenant that they had a copy of, and their version explicitly acknowledged our imperfection as a community, and that our commitment was not to make it perfect, but just to come back again and again in the imperfectness of it. They wrote, we try, and we fail, and we grow, and we rest, and we try again. That sounds pretty accurate and realistic to me. And to accomplish that, we have tools of accountability, forgiveness, grace, and apologies. We have the tool of breath that's always with us. These tools we can use to live our imperfect lives together, and it's all summed up in the concept that we use, embrace in our philosophy of right relationship. It should just be right, messy relationship. I thought about how the language of mindfulness practice can be shifted to point towards remaining imperfect rather than promoting the expectation of self-improvement and perfection. I currently lead a small meditation group that meets in South Phoenix on Central Avenue, where the light rail construction has been going on. It's great because it's noisy. We learn to sit with the sound of cars and buses driving over big metal plates across the road clanking, construction equipment, people knocking on the door in the middle of our sits, the loud air conditioning coming on and off. I started off thinking that this would be a terrible place to have meditation, but it was free. And now I think it's the perfect place. You can laugh at that, it's not. I thought you caught me, didn't you? As a chaplain at the hospital and hospice, I'm around a lot of grief. There's a bit of debate in our field about, where are they? Oh, here we go. About tissues. For many of us, when we see someone starting to cry, we go for the tissues, the paper towels, the napkins, anything we can get to hand to that person. Sometimes that search becomes frantic, and you lose connection with the person who's grieving. I'm in the no tissue camp. I let people cry, tears and boogers and all, and they can wipe it on their sleeve, let it soak into their laps. Grief is supposed to be messy and real. When you start handing someone tissues, you're kind of saying, it's okay to cry, but keep it clean. Don't mess up your makeup or clothes. I want to give you the space to let it all out, however it comes and without interruption. And I'll even offer a hug afterwards. With all those boogers and tears, I'm not scared. And then when it's all cried out and done, yeah, let's go find a tissue. It took me a lot of practice to get to that point. There's a lot of uncomfortableness watching people grieve and not being able to do something to clean it up. I'm okay with it now. I have a gentleman right now on my hospice service who has really advanced dementia. He's no longer able to comprehend instructions to walk or sit or how to use utensils to eat. He's just kind of in his own space. His wife has had a very hard time accepting his decline and often yells at him or grabs his arm to force him to move. She wanted to take him to the dentist to get his dentures refitted, which would be 2 trips. I anticipated this was going to be very stressful, so I offered to go along with them. I used my practice. I mentally prepared for a tough day. I practiced for the imperfect, and it was a doozy. She was already yelling at the van driver on the phone before he arrived. He was just confused where the entrance to the building was, but he was also a little late. I had tried to lower her expectation beforehand and said, the van's going to be late, and that just upset her even more. She continued to insult the driver the whole way to the dentist. He almost stopped and kicked her out, which actually probably would have been appropriate. And I just did my best to keep de-escalating and redirecting. I kept my demeanor, I would say 90% of the time, and eventually I had a mild snap with her, and I forgave myself for that. Through all this, the husband was fine, just staring out the windows, enjoying the ride. The dentist part went smoothly, and then we had a different driver to go back, and he said I couldn't go because there was only 2 people on the reservation, on the itinerary, and he could get fired if there was a 3rd person. Eventually, he, at risk to his job, let me sit in the front seat. Then we hit a train, which made me late. Oh, it was a wild day. It takes a lot of practice to be in situations like that, to come from a place of compassion for the wife, for the drivers, for the patient, for myself. Could I have done better, been even more grounded and wise that day? Yep. But I was just me that day, and that was what I could do, and it turned out fine. He got the new dentures, which are now loose again, and the journey goes on, perfectly imperfect. I love that our Sunday mornings are not super rigid. The kids are running around, sometimes the technology fails, sometimes the candle doesn't light, sometimes the cell phone rings, and it's okay. It's just about being together. We are practicing being ourselves our entire lives. Some of us may just practice one version of ourselves. Some of us try out a few. We might practice expressing a new gender identity expression. We're practicing with pronouns and language in creative ways. We're practicing what it means to shed centuries of white supremacy and sexism and ableism. Some of us practice being allies, then we decided that that wasn't really the right concept. We practice being woke, and now I think that's retired too. We're practicing accountability, we're practicing discomfort and curiosity. And if it all goes right, we'll just keep practicing all these things until the day that we die, and teach our kids how to practice too. Not to arrive anywhere, not to become the best versions of ourselves or be perfect, or to create utopian societies or congregations, just to be here now, in our present moment, however that looks. We can aim for more justice and equity in the world, but we'll always be practicing that too. To all our folks that we're celebrating anniversaries today and relationships, love requires a lot of practice. A lot. So when your friends ask you what you're doing on Sunday morning, you can say, I'm going to church, or worship, or congregation, or whatever imperfect word we're trying to use to describe this. Or you can also say, I'm going to practice. May it be imperfectly so. Just a side note on the music, the offertory piece was originally composed by Thelonious Monk, but often played by Miles Davis. And I thought Miles Davis had a Buddhist practice. I was wrong. It was John Coltrane. And also Herbie Hancock, another jazz musician, had a Buddhist practice. Herbie had a story about playing piano with Miles once and was playing and hit a wrong chord. And Miles Davis paused just for a second and matched the chord with the notes that fit and just kept playing. And Herbie said he froze for about a minute. He couldn't play before he could see that Miles made it okay and just the show must go on. And it was just the beauty of that kind of interaction, even in music and jazz, that you can make something, even if it was imperfect. He thought he screwed the whole song up and they'd have to stop. And Miles, no, he just made it work. So even in those realms of arts and music, and we find the imperfections don't really exist. If you can roll with it, roll with it. Thank you for the music today, Nicole. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to technicians and worship associates. Thank you, children, for being here. As we close our service, we remind you to reach out to someone new or that you haven't seen for a while. So that means I got to talk to a lot of you. Our Exploration Hour activities for children and adults starts at noon, and will all be listed up here on the screens. And please enjoy coffee hour for some coffee and snacks and conversation through the doors across the patio in the Johnson Room. And with whatever merit we have generated through our practice and our worship time together today, we dedicate and offer it all equally to all the beings throughout our world and our universe. And may our thoughts, our words, and our actions bring benefit to our world. May it be imperfectly so. Go in peace, go in love.